business whose turnover exceeds rupees 40 lakhs in the financial year are required to register as a normal taxable person. Deposit the equal to the expected GST liability. He is supposed to deposit the amount with the GST authority that is equivalent to the expected GST liability. The cancellation can either be initiated by the department on their own motion, or the registered person can apply for cancellation of the registration. Hello everyone, I am Arun Kumar, lecturer in Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Dear students, welcome to this new session number 2 on unit number 2, that is registration and taxable event. Yes, dear students, in the last session, in the previous session with respect to this particular chapter, that is registration and taxable event, we were discussing about what is registration, who can register, and what and all the documents required for registration and all we were discussing. So in this session, we continue the discussion with respect to registration under the GST authority. And in the registration, mainly we have 4 types, okay. So types of GST registration, in this mainly we have 4 types. Those 4 types are, the first one normal taxpayers, second one casual taxable individual, and non-resident taxable individual, and composition registration. So totally we have 4 types of registration under the GST purview. So if you are registering with the GST purview, so first you should have to know under what type of registration you are going to come into, whether in the first one or in the second one or in the last one. According to your business or according to your the duration of business, you are supposed to register with the GST authority. Sometimes you are supposed to register only once, or sometimes you are supposed to register every year or every 6 months once. So based on the type of business, the duration of business, you are supposed to register with the GST authority. So now if you look into the first one, that is the normal taxpayers. So who are all called normal taxpayers and how they will get registered with the GST authority? So most businesses in India fall under this category. Yes, most of the businesses, more than 80 to 90% of business entities falls under normal taxpayers registration scheme, because almost all the business will be running almost all 365 days in the year. So most businesses in India fall under this category. Business whose turnover exceeds rupees 40 lakhs in the financial year are required to register as a normal taxable person. Yes, if any person is running the business and if his total turnover exceeds rupees 40 lakhs in the particular financial year, then he is liable to register with the GST authority. Then that person is called the normal taxpayer. In case if he is trading the goods, okay, if he is selling the goods, it is 40 lakhs. So for goods, it is 40 lakhs, that is the turnover. The threshold limit for goods is 40 lakhs and for services, it is 20 lakhs. Okay, for goods, it is 40 lakhs and for services, it is 20 lakhs. So what you are supposed to do here, if you are doing any business and if you are selling the goods or if you are dealing with the goods, then if it crosses the turnover or the threshold limit crosses 40 lakhs, then you are supposed to be registered with the GST authority and you will be called as the normal taxpayer. If you are providing any services and if your total turnover crosses 20 lakhs in any financial year, then you are supposed to register with the GST authority. That is with respect to the normal taxpayers. And here, however, the threshold limit is 20 lakh if you have a business in northeastern states, that is Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Yes, if you are running in your business in northeastern states, then your threshold limit is 20 lakhs. So for goods, if you are trading with goods, and if your turnover crosses 20 lakhs, then obviously you are supposed to register with the GST authority as a normal taxpayer. And for services, it is rupees 10 lakhs. So here what you will do, if you are a normal taxpayer and you are in other than the northeastern states, then your turnover limit is 40 lakhs for goods and turnover limit 20 lakh for services. If it crosses 20 lakhs and 40 lakhs respectively, then what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to register with the GST authority. In case if you are in northeastern states, then for goods the turnover limit is 20 lakhs and for services it is 10 lakhs. If it crosses 20 lakhs and 10 lakhs respectively with respect to goods and services, then you are supposed to register under the GST purview. Then you will be called as a normal taxpayers. Okay, so in normal taxpayer, most of the business entities falls under this category, and if their turnover crosses 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs with respect to goods and services in any financial year, they are supposed to register with the GST authority. And if any business entity belongs to northeastern states, then for them the threshold limit or the turnover is 20 lakh and 10 lakh with respect to goods and services respectively. So this is about the normal taxpayers. And moving further, the second one, casual taxable individual. That means he is not taxable every time, only on some occasions he will be taxable. So who is called the casual taxable individual? So occasional or seasonal businesses need to register their businesses under GST for this category. Yes, if you are doing the business occasionally or seasonally, that means you are not doing your business for the whole year. You are doing based on some occasions and based on some seasons. For example, you will be doing your business only in the summer season, or you will be doing your business only in the Dasara time, okay, in Dasara occasions. So if you are doing your business only for a few days in a year, then those type of people are supposed to register under casual taxable individual. So here the people will be doing the business on occasional basis or seasonal basis. So businesses need to make a deposit equal to the GST liability from the occasional operations. The tenure of registration is 3 months. However, businesses can apply for renewal and extensions. Yes, here what they are supposed to do, these people, the people who comes under the casual taxable individual registration, so they are supposed to register with the GST authority and they are supposed to deposit some money relating to or equivalent to the GST liability from the occasional operation. For example, I will be planning to operate with 10 crore rupees of total sales. I am estimating for 10 crore rupees of sales. So if I am estimating for 10 crore rupees of sales, whatever the amount of GST I am supposed to pay on this 10 crore, that much of GST amount I am supposed to deposit with the GST authority to do my business and to get the registration. So that much of amount we are supposed to register with the GST authority to get the registration to do our occasional or seasonal business. And the tenure of this registration, the duration of this registration, that is occasional or seasonal registration, is 3 months. So the authority will be permitting you or giving the license or registration only for 3 months to do your business. But still, if you want to continue the business, what you can do, you can extend your registration thing, or you can renewal the registration for occasional business or seasonal business. You will be having or you will be planning to do the business for 3 months, but you have the demand, still you have the demand and you are planning to continue for 1 more month, and you can renewal it for 1 more month by depositing the estimated tax amount on your total sales. So this is about the second type of registration, that is casual taxable individual. Now moving on to the third type, that is non-resident taxable individual. That is non-resident taxable individual. So here in this type of registration, individuals who reside outside India but occasionally supply goods or services as agents, principals or other capacities to Indian residents are liable to file for registration under this category. So here under non-resident taxable individual registration type, or in this particular thing, what will happen? The people who are not in India, the business person who is not in India, but occasionally will be sending the goods to an Indian resident. Okay, what he is doing? Occasionally on some seasons, what he will do is send the goods to the Indian person or the Indian resident. If that is the case, then that person who is residing outside India is supposed to register himself under this category. So the seller of the goods or the supplier is not going to be in India. Okay, the supplier is not going to be in India, but this supplier will be sending the goods to the buyer. So this buyer is in India. The buyer is in India and the supplier not in India. Not in India. Okay, the supplier is not in India, but occasionally what the supplier will do? Occasionally the supplier sends goods to the buyer who is in India. So if this is the case, the particular supplier who is supplying the goods to the Indian resident is supposed to register as non-resident taxable individual scheme. Okay, then he can send the goods to any person who is staying in India. Next, the business owner must pay a deposit equal to the expected GST liability during the GST activity tenure, and the normal tenure is 3 months. However, individuals can extend or renew the registration if required. Yes, here the person who is staying outside India and doing business in India and who is selling the goods to Indian residents is supposed to register as a non-resident taxable Indian. So to get the registration under this particular type of registration, what is supposed to do? He is supposed to deposit the equal to the expected GST liability. He is supposed to deposit the amount with the GST authority that is equivalent to the expected GST liability. For example, he is planning to do the business for 3 months and he estimates that in that 3 months of business, he might liable to pay 10 lakh. So he expects or he estimates that he is supposed to pay 10 lakh rupees of GST. Okay, so that much of amount is supposed to deposit with the GST authority. Then he should get the registration from the GST authority. And that registration is valid for 3 months. The registration is valid for 3 months. Still after 3 months, if he wants to continue the business for 1 more month or for next 3 more months, then again he can renewal according to his requirements. So this is about non-resident taxable individual. This is the third type of registration under the GST purview. Next one, fourth one, composition registration. The fourth type of registration is composition registration. So what is this composition registration? Businesses with an annual turnover of up to rupees 1 crore are eligible for registration under composition scheme. Any business entity whose turnover is up to 1 crore rupees, up to 1 crore rupees. Here it is not more than but up to 1 crore rupees. If you are running a business and if your turnover, the total sales for that particular year is up to 1 crore rupees but not more than 1 crore rupees, then you can opt for this composition registration. And under this scheme, businesses have to pay a fixed amount of GST irrespective of their actual turnover. Yes, here if you opt for composition scheme and if your turnover is less than 1 crore or up to 1 crore rupees, then you will be paying a fixed rate of GST. You will not be paying 12%, 18% or 28% of tax. Okay, you are not paying 12, 18 or 28% of tax. You will be paying a fixed rate of GST on the total turnover, whatever the total turnover will be for the particular financial year. So that is called composition registration. So to register under the composition scheme, what you are supposed to do, if your turnover is less than 1 crore and if you are expecting or estimated that your turnover is going to be less than 1 crore, so you can register with the composition scheme, and under this scheme, the rate of GST will be fixed. It is not like 12%, 18, 28. It will be fixed like 3%, 1% or 2%. So only that much of GST you are supposed to pay to the GST authority. So totally we have 4 types of registration under the GST purview. So for all 4 types are different for different business entities. If you are doing the normal business, then you will be a normal taxpayer. If you are doing the business occasionally, then what it is called? Yes, it is called casual taxable individual. And if you are doing your business from outside India, then you are supposed to register as non-resident taxable individual, and if your turnover is up to 1 crore rupees, then you can register as a composition registration, under this particular scheme. So these are the 4 types of registration. So moving further, rejection of application for registration. So when the GST authority is going to reject your application, in what scenarios they are going to reject your applications. So if you look into that, GST application can get rejected only if required data is not filled accurately, inadequate proof of identity, or address of premises, and if your PAN card number is not matching. Yes, only if you are not going to provide the required information to the GST authority, only in that case the authority is going to reject your application for registration under the GST purview. So if you won't give the proper information like inadequate identity proof, if you are not providing the proper identity proof, they might reject your application. If you are not providing the address of premises of your business, then they might reject. And if you are not providing the proper PAN card number, at that time also they might reject your application for GST registration. And also, on rejection of a GST registration application, the GST officer would issue a notice to the applicant. See, simply they won't reject and simply they won't be quiet. Okay, if they're rejecting your application, the GST application for registration, what they'll do, the GST authority or the GST officer, whoever appointed as an officer for registration purpose, that officer is supposed to issue a notice to the applicant. If you applied for registration, if your registration is not get done, if it is get cancelled, if it is rejected, then the officer, the GST officer, will be issuing a notice to you by stating why the application is get rejected. So as per the GST regulation, the authorization or authorized officer should convey to you in writing along with the reason for registration. Yes, reason for rejection. Yes, as I said, if they are rejecting your application, if you are applied for registration, if they are rejecting application, for what reason they are rejecting your application, along with the reason they are supposed to send you a notice by stating that we are rejecting your application due to so and so reason. So you will get to know what is the mistake you have done, and you can apply again by correcting the mistake or by giving the proper document to the GST authority. So in this scenario, they are going to reject your application if you are applying for the GST registration. And cancellation of registration. So when they'll cancel your registration, we already got the registration, but after giving the registration, anytime they can cancel. If some criteria are not followed by the particular business entity, they can cancel your registration. In what scenario they can cancel? The registration granted under the GST can be cancelled for specified reasons. Simply they can't cancel your registration. Only for specified reasons. If you are not following such specified reasons or some specified rules and regulations, then they'll be cancelling your registration with the GST authority. The cancellation can either be initiated by the department on their own motion, or the registered person can apply for cancellation of the registration. So either if you are not following, as a business entity, if you are not following the rules and regulations which are prescribed by the GST authority, the authority will be having all the rights to cancel your registration. Or else if you are stopping your business, if you are closing down your business, as a business entity, you can also cancel your business. Either the authority can cancel from their end, or you can cancel the registration from your end by giving a request to cancel your GST registration. So in this scenario, you can cancel the GST registration. And reasons for cancellation. So in what scenarios we can cancel? Okay, in what scenarios, in what situations we can cancel our registration? If you look into that, the first one is the person registered under any of the existing laws but was not liable to be registered under the GST Act. Okay, that means he will not be knowing that he is not supposed to register under the GST Act, but he got registered. Okay, unknowingly got registered He is supposed to register with some other law or with some other authority, but unknowingly registered with the GST authority. So at that point time, if you get to know that he is not supposed to register with the GST authority, then he can cancel his GST registration. So there is no need of registering with the GST authority. This is the first reason why they can cancel the registration. Second reason, the business has been discontinued. Yes, the business has been discontinued, transferred fully for any reasons including death of the proprietor, amalgamated with other legal entity, or demerged. See, you are running a business, you got registration with your name. Okay, so what you did, you sold that business to somebody else. Okay, you sold that business to somebody else. At that point of time, whatever the GST registration you have got with your name, so you can cancel that GST registration. You can cancel that GST registration. So where the new proprietor will be registering with the GST authority with his name. And next thing is, if any deaths of the proprietor. So you are the proprietor, you are running the business, due to some accident or due to some reason, the proprietor is dead. So what will happen at that time also, whatever the business is registered with the GST authority with that proprietor, then that will be cancelled and the new proprietor is supposed to be registered with the GST authority. And if your business is amalgamated with any other legal entity, or if you demerged with any other entity, you can register, you can cancel your registration, and that new company will be taking the new registration with the authority. Next, there is any change in the constitution of the business. Yes, if there is any change in the constitution of the business. For example, at the time of taking the registration, you registered with the GST authority by stating that I'll be doing this business. Okay, I'll be doing a particular business like manufacturing of clothes. But after a few months, you change the old business system. Okay, at that time, if the authority gets to know that you change the old business process itself, then they'll cancel your registration. And a person paying tax under composition levy has not furnished returns for 3 consecutive tax periods. That means if you're registered with the composition scheme, obviously if your total turnover is up to 1 crore rupees, you can register with the GST composition scheme. And every 3 months once, you are supposed to provide them what? The turnover details. If you are not going to provide the turnover details for 3 consecutive tax periods, then the authority will be having all the rights to cancel your GST registration under composition scheme. And the last thing, registration has been obtained by means of fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of facts. Yes, if you are going to take any registration with the GST authority by providing some illegal facts, or by giving some misstatements, or by giving or making some fraud and all, then you got registration. Okay, you already received the registration, you got registered with the GST authority. Then after a few days or after a few months, the authority gets to know that with some misappropriate statement or with the suppression of fact, you get the registration anta. Then the registration authority or the GST authority will be having all the rights to cancel your registration for providing the unknown facts or misstatements with the GST authority. So in these many reasons, the authority or a owner of the business will be having all the rights to cancel the business registration with the GST authority. So with this, I'm going to wind up this session. I'll come up with few more new topics with respect to this unit. Until then, thank you all. Have a nice day. Namaste.